Brexit. Anne Widdecombe predicted a significant back down from the EU in the trade talks on two significant issues. Former Brexit Party MEP Anne Widdecombe argued the EU would likely cave to the UK's demands in the final weeks and months of the transition period. During an interview with Express.co.uk, Ms. Widdecombe argued the EU will give in on fishing demands and the level playing field. She noted that the EU is now feeling nervous about the prospect of a no-deal Brexit and will hope to achieve a trade deal with the UK. Ms. Widdecombe said, "I think suddenly the EU is faced with the fact that by the end of this year we could be gone without a trade deal. That is just as bad for the EU as it would be for us. In fact, it is probably a bit worse for the EU than it would be for us. I think the EU will concentrate, and what we will see in the last few months is quite suddenly a willingness to give way on the two things they always said they would never give way on. The first being, of course, fishing rights, as the EU want to carry on being able to fish our waters. But when we are a sovereign state we will take control of our own waters. And the EU also want to tie us into what they call the level playing field. This would mean we would be bound by all their rules. Well, frankly, we might as well have not bothered leaving." Ms. Widdecombe concluded that the UK will start to see the EU give way as both sides get closer to the end of the transition period. She closed by saying, "I think the EU will suddenly start to move. You can only imagine now what German industrialists are saying to Angela Merkel. They will be saying, for goodness sake, get on with it." The Brexiteer also attacked Boris Johnson for the errors and weakness he had shown to the EU in the trade negotiations. Ms. Widdecombe said, "The EU is probably now beginning to feel very nervous. They are used to dealing with Theresa May, who had a very tiny majority and then none at all. The EU were used to being able to bluff and face Britain down, and that is what they got used to. The advent of Boris changed all of that, but I think they were very slow to catch up with that reality." Mr. Widdecombe highlighted the key issues she has had with Boris Johnson during his time at the helm of Brexit. She said, "I don't think Boris helped because he said if we didn't have proper progress by June we would pull out and start preparing for WTO. Then he pushed that back to October, which is exactly the kind of thing that Theresa May did, always extended extensions. I think that created a false sense of security.